Welcome everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for our first webinar. The AI Revolution is here, understanding the benefits and potential for your business. I'm Abby Timmins. I'm an Azure sales specialist here at Codec, and I'm very excited to kick off this session this morning. Throughout the session, if you have any questions or queries, please feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A section throughout, and myself and Alberto will be monitoring it throughout the next hour's session. So a very quick overview of the agenda before we begin. I'll begin with a short introduction to who Codec are, but I won't take up too much time, as I'll then hand over to Alberto, your presenter for the day, who has a packed and exciting agenda of content for you. So who are we? Who are Codec, and why should you listen to what we have to say today? So Codec are the largest independent Microsoft reseller in the Republic of Ireland and the UK. We operate across business applications, financial services, and the Azure cloud, as well as numerous of our own developed accelerators built on the Microsoft stack. So our profile and the desire to operate on the Microsoft stack is there, but it's also backed up by numbers, which you can see here on the next slide. And I've picked out kind of the important ones to call out, that our revenue is over 38 million, which saw growth in both our Azure and our Dynamics businesses over the last number of years. Our headcount has breached the 300 mark this year, which means that we have 300 plus staff who are all dedicated to you and helping you on your digital transformation journey. We have a net promoter score of 63, which is nearly double that of any other organization operating within the same industry as us, which shows that all of our customers are very happy and content with us as their technology partner, and that we do provide a great level of care. We have 19 Microsoft Partner of the Year awards and 12 gold competencies over the last number of years, which on the next slide here you can see it is backed up by Microsoft, and the recognition over the past number of years of our ability is there. We're Microsoft Country Partner of the Year 2023. We were also awarded the Driving New Business Award this year, and we're a finalist in the Data and AI category. So it does show that our capabilities are there, and Microsoft do recognize the work we put in. We have the Microsoft Gold Partner status and Azure Expert MSP status. So it does show that Codec and all of our staff know our stuff, and that we want to help you on this journey, and we're more than capable of doing so. So very quick overview of who we are, and without further ado, I'll hand you over to Alberto Sanchez now for the rest of the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Abby. Hello, everyone. My name is Alberto Marinos. I am the practice lead here in Codec, leading the data and AI team. We have customers across different industries, and we deliver projects for data, AI, and business intelligence. Today, I wanted to talk about some of the benefits and the potential for your business that AI could bring. But first of all, I wanted to start by clearing out some concepts, because if we start with a good foundation on what exactly some of these concepts mean or address, that way, when we hear them on the media, when we see them branded on a technology or an offering, we know what that company person is selling and the benefit that could bring to us. So first of all, I just wanted to review these three main concepts. So I want to go through deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Even though these terms can be, well, not that they have been used as synonyms at some point, but when we talk about deep learning, we're talking about neural networks. We're talking about the infrastructure, the wires, the type of technology, and some of the software that is used to enhance machines to think like a human brain, or to train algorithms that are going to be the foundation of AI. Think of it as setting out the sewage, the electricity, the drain for a new city. Then we have machine learning. What machine learning is now that you have that infrastructure, you start creating bits of code, bits of algorithms that when combined can learn from existing data and through a mathematical algorithm infer what is going to be the next outcome for the next item you provide on a series. Um, in this case, we haven't yet reached the point in which, you know, you're interacting with a chatbot, you're interacting with facial recognition. Right here, it's only an algorithm that will detect pixels on a camera that will, or an image that will take a bit array from, let's say, an MP3 and try to make a distinction on whether this is a human or not. And then once you go into artificial intelligence, you reach artificial intelligence when you're interacting with a software or complete architecture, software architecture, in which you are led to believe that you're interacting with a human being or something that resembles a human being um, to a certain degree. So when we talk about AI, that is what we're talking. We're talking about how you can create those applications, those technologies that will interact with either your internal users or your external users or your customers, to provide or automate some of the processes that you already have in place. Uh, the way these concepts translate into technologies, I'm not going to go through any of the deep learning because that is a whole different topic that would need weeks to go through. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to skip deep learning and go through machine learning. Under the machine learning, Microsoft has a cloud of services called Azure, and within Azure we have Azure Machine Learning, in which you can have data scientists and developers interacting or creating these algorithms and deploying these algorithms that will support your operations. If you are already in some form of machine learning or AI journey, and you already have some of these skilled people working on this, we would suggest to start looking at these groups of services to enhance or to facilitate the delivery of these products. The next here, when we see customizable AI models and scenario-based services, these are jigsaw pieces that when put together can create or produce amazing outcomes. So if you take an image and you send it to an endpoint, to a service, to a piece of software, that piece of software will then take that image, add captions, add tags, identify objects, and send that back to you saying, this is a person, this is a sitting person, they are drinking a cup of tea in this image. That way, you don't need a person looking at that image. You already have the description. You can then take that description and pass it on, for example, to a decision-making software where you will say, if the person is holding a cup of tea, send a warning that the liquid may be hot. And that way you have an alarm system that needed no training on your part other than just consuming different jigsaw pieces from these cloud services. On top of that, we have the scenario-based services. These scenario-based services are a mix of the previous services already in some form where you get a more dedicated functionality back to you as a user or as a developer. So if you already have you have a video, you can take that video, identify which segments of the video have relevant activity, and then summarize those videos or those activities in a text base that somebody can read as a report. That way you're using vision, you're using speech, you're using decision to identify what parts of the video are important or interesting to the person reading that report. I'm going to go through some of this functionality towards the end of the webinar, so I do suggest that you stick around for that one. When we talk about cognitive services, they provide a wide range of pre-trained, and that is the key word. It's pre-trained capabilities around computer vision, speech, language, and decision services with reinforcement learning. When we talk about training these cognitive services, it does seem a bit daunting, but in reality, when you train the services, it can be done by a non-techie person that are just going to sit in front of a screen with a summary of what the engine is understanding as X, Y, or Z, and you can tune those tags that you're getting by either adding your new tags or saying, actually, this image, this particular image, this particular piece of text, you're saying it's aggressive, it's not aggressive. This image, you're saying it is an elephant, it is actually not an elephant, it's a rhinoceros. And that is how the model will learn over and over. It's not you producing the algorithm that would train it. It's just using the interface that Microsoft already has for you, and you train the model on top of that. When we have now, I'm not going to dive deep into these concepts. I just want to mention them. When we talk about language, we're not talking about just words on a paper and translating them. We're talking about language understanding, summarizing. We're talking about text analytics, understanding if certain concepts, certain keywords are being used. We are talking about custom question and answering, where you ask a question about a text, about a service, to a bot or to a service, and you get a response back. And of course, a translator in which you take a bit of text and translate it into different languages. When we talk about vision, we're talking about computer vision in which you can identify objects, you can identify text, you can summarize an image into text, you can take those images and produce new images. And then in the Face API is a service in itself because it does require an additional level of access because you're dealing with people's identities. When you want to identify faces, you do need to sign up for some services and to sign some waivers with Microsoft. When we talk about speech, it is speech to text and text to speech. So whether you want to take a bit of an MP3, a WAV file, and get all the contents of that into text, or the other way, and then or taking a sound like my voice right now and translating it into the same speech in real time. These speech services have an engine behind them in which I can go in, I need to speak, I think it's around 160 prompts to this service. I just click record and I say the text and the words. And after those 160 prompts, the engine is recognizing my voice and it can now speak as myself, but in different languages. So I can translate my speech in real time as I'm speaking it. And then on decision, we have anomaly detection, we have content moderator, and personalizer. With anomaly detection, what we're talking about is taking different variables on a system, whether it's input from an engine, input from like financial input, accounting input, or even just your HR data, and training this engine. When I say training is you need to upload rows and rows and rows of what normal looks to you, And once you have that, the system has an idea of what normal looks to you on a table. Once you have what normal looks on a table, then you can ask what would happen if I change this? What would be the impact on the rest of the system? And that is automatically created. You only need to supply the data. You don't need to come up with the algorithms to train that. Content moderator is basically identifying if you have a forum, if you're having a chat and somebody starts using foul language or starts being aggressive or derogatory or racist, you can immediately moderate that content and provide your application with an insight of this person is being racist, this person is being aggressive, maybe remove them from the chat altogether. And with personalizer, this is where you have a batch of content that you want to push to your audiences through ads, through maybe it is a visual on your web page, on your portal, and you want different types of users to get different types of content depending on their demographics. And that is where personalizer comes in. When you talk about the Azure Applied AI Services, it is just like I was saying with the video indexer, it is just a bit of functionality from different parts that serves a very specific purposes. In the case of Azure Bot Service, that is what you get. You're getting a bot that takes your data and can interact with the user based on the data you give it, whether it is a document, whether it is a spreadsheet, or just text files. Azure Form Recognizer takes forms and can identify tables, can identify content, or it can identify different labels and give them to you in a form that your developers or yourself can use it for something more meaningful. So if I take a purchase order from a customer and I scan it, I can immediately input it into Form Recognizer, and Form Recognizer will give me back a table with the number of items, the name of the product, the code of the product, the date they expect it to be fulfilled in, and the name of the customer, all in one table. With cognitive search, what this is, it is a very powerful ingestion engine in which you load all your data. You load documents, you load presentations, images, spreadsheets, and cognitive search will understand all the text and the different connotations on that text and come up with tags in which you can then later address the content by tag. So if I say, can I get the purchase orders for these types of customers over the past 6 years, it will give me a top X number of results as if it was a search engine saying this is the content that I think you want to see, or hey, have we worked on a tender with uh, sentiment analysis, and it will go through all of my documentation and see like, yes, this is the contract that you applied for that had those tags included. And then Metrics Advisor is just to understand issues and monitor your environments in the cloud more proactively. And with Immersive Reader, you basically get a better reading experiences for users to comprehend your texts. Now, going into how do we achieve success? Okay, this all looks great on a presentation, but how do we translate that into success stories for us as customers, service deliveries? The way we see this is there are a lot of technologies out there. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. If there is already an image recognition engine, we don't need to create the network, create the algorithm, train the algorithm, and then come up with the application to identify those images. That image recognition software is already out there. We just need to use that in a clever way to solve our problems. So there are a lot of off-the-shelf solutions that are coming up, that have come up over the past year and that are coming on in the next couple of years. One of them, for example, is Copilot, which is going to be an add-on to Office 365, in which you have AI ChatGPT integration with all of your documents, your emails, your presentations, your spreadsheets, so that when you open an email, it will give you an idea of this is the summary, this is the response that it suggests, or this is the documents that they're referring to. They're asking you to write a contract. They're asking you to write a contract. This is what a mock-up of that contract would look like. Do we have any questions so far?
I think there's one in the chat, Alberto. I think it's going back to the previous slide.
Okay.
Eamon asked, where would robotic process automation be classified?
Robotic process automation would be classified as a little bit of a, let me go back here in the slides. Here, we can take anomaly detection and decision making, and we can include it in robotics. However, like the robotic parts themselves would need to be created, but the process automation could be leveraged with some of the off-the-shelf services that already exist. Thank you very much, Eamon. So with these off-the-shelf solutions, like I was talking about Copilot or ChatGPT, which is part of the generative AI, or we even have scenario-based services like the ones I was talking about before. If you have a need for face indexing, or you have a need for form recognition, speech recognition, translation services. There are services out there that already exist. But maybe the technology itself that you're looking is so niche that, well, maybe you need to identify, I don't know, the different types of wood that because you're producing lumber for wholesale, you need to identify for floss. Then you need different types of these services working in tandem to achieve that. But what you would get on those white parts in the visual that you see on your screen there is what we would identify as the very rare cases. In most of the cases, there's an off-the-shelf solution or a scenario-based solution that would fix your problem or enhance the process that you need to automate. And that leads me to the next slide, in which we need, how do we innovate? How do we implement these AI services, these AI technologies, these AI projects? So the first step we need to do is we need to start demystifying and understanding AI as what it is. It is, whether we are adverse to it or we love it, the fact is that it's here, and there are technologies using it. There are companies and industries that are relying heavily on this. So demystifying and understanding what these processes are, what the risks and what the benefits of these technologies are, will create a solid foundation for your company, for your organization, in which you can then start identifying the possible use cases or business objectives for these solutions. And this is where our advice to you is start small and scale up, because you do not want to invest thousands of euro into a technology that may be a dead end. You want to start automating processes that maybe don't even have a digital trail. And by that, I mean, maybe you have all your purchase orders being captured by hand by a couple of clerks in your office, and where instead of them trying to talk to your customers and address some of the concerns on their purchase orders, instead of that, they're just capturing and typing information from one place into another. This is where your your first projects should focus on. Solve a very precise problem that you have and scale up from there. Because in going back to this example, if I have some form of form automation process that I set up for the procurement um, department. Once I have that, then maybe finance will say like, hey, actually we have this process that is quite tedious and we wanted to see if we could get it automated in some form like you did with procurement. And that is where the organization starts or to organically get invested and have some reliance on these services. And that is what is going to get you the buy-in from investors, not only from outside the organization, but from within. Once you have some success stories, you can collaborate and network with other companies, with other industries to see what they're doing and probably to get some ideas on what your next success is going to be. And most importantly, you need to celebrate success. What this means is if a project that you have implemented within your organization was successful, you need to shout it to the four winds and make sure that everyone hears it, because that is how you're going to drive more investment and more credibility towards these types of projects. The things that you need to consider when implementing these types of projects is that first you need to assess the current state. Maybe the infrastructure team in your IT team needs to invest or needs to consume things that were not within their budget. Maybe the technology stack is completely incompatible with the types of technologies that you're trying to push. This is where starting earlier with this assessment is going to get great benefits in the future. With your data strategy, a lot of these technologies are going to rely on you having data to explain or to load into the system so that they know what normal looks like. And this is where if you have a data strategy developed, you're collecting data, you're ensuring all the privacy regulations, GDPR and all are taken care of. Once you have that, then getting the right data for your model is going to be very easy. Now, with budget allocation, you need to consider not only the cost of technology, but the cost associated with your data collection. In this case, what happens in the case with the form recognition that I was talking about earlier? If we're going to automate procurement by getting all the purchase orders in line, um, what is the cost of maybe we need to get scanners, maybe we need to have a server to load all those images in. Try to allocate budget for those things as well. Now, when you are building a team of professionals that are going to work with these AI and machine learning technologies, you want to start training people within your organization first, and then start looking for engineers, researchers, and specialist professionals as you reach the tipping point in which your enterprise, your organization is willing to invest in these big projects, whereas now you need someone to drive that strategy forward. And then on data governance and security, when we're relying on data this much, we need to develop a robust data governance policy to ensure that the quality, that the right level of protection, that GDPR, HIPAA are taking into account, so that if something were to go wrong, we know we're covered from every side. And last but not least, the executive buy-in. To ensure that we get everyone in this, you need to get the executive buy-in. And what this means is if you if you celebrate success, if you're shouting your success to the four winds, it's going to be heard and it's going to drive more investment. But one of the things that get lost in these projects from what we have seen is the importance of middle management. Middle management is going to give you the right use cases that are small enough and can be scaled up, and the right networking in which success can be spread from word to mouth across different teams. Before we jump into the next section, do we have any questions? Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share some of these I'm going to show some of these technologies in action. Let me start sharing my screen here. So this is what we mean when we say that this is when we're saying video summarization. So we have a factory, right? In the past, a security guard, a security specialist would have to sit through the video and try to see or fast forward to the bits that would be interesting and see what if there's something that went wrong. Now what we can do, we can summarize a video and we have a summary immediately of what is happening. So you can see here the recently released video, and it's showing one worker is in running, suggesting an urgent matter that required immediate attention. Another worker is observed moving boxes. So when we take this one and I say, maybe I want to say the worker running, I can also locate the specific frames with a query. So if I can see the, let's say a person pushing the fire extinguisher, I can run it and it will locate the frame and show me that person that is shown in different frames. And it will get me those frames. I can also run a frame analysis on this one. Apologies. To see all of the events that happened in any particular frame. So here I can see there is a close-up of the machine. I can see there's a man holding a wheel. I can see a yellow bottle with handles. This is part of the image recognition software. I can do the same for a data center. I can do something for retail, or I can do something for even my warehouse to assess security risks. So in this case, I can see someone putting a box on a shelf, or I can see people carrying a ladder and maybe breaking some safety rules. Likewise, with image recognition, we can provide images and try to get or detect images within those images. So to give you an example, if I click on this image, sorry, apologies for this one. So in this case, I see there's a bicycle wheel. I can see there's a wheel. I can see there's a bicycle. In this image, I can see there is a person, there's another person, there's another person, there's a table, there's a laptop, there's some seating there. Here I can see there's a person, there's another person, and you can see that the percentage of accuracy that the engine is saying is quite low, and it's because they're a bit blurry. So the better quality of the image we have, the best. in this case, we can also, that one was to detect objects. When we have a summarization, here we have a group of cows grazing in a field. We have a man holding a surfboard on a rock. We have a man jumping on a skateboard, or we have a sandwich cut in half. I wanted to show you just an idea of what the form recognition can look like. So you can read, you can take the layout of a form, or you can get general documents. You can get invoices, receipts, business cards, contracts, or you can customize your own extraction model. So if I just want to, let's say, get the layout of something, you just click on that one. It will immediately bring you to the Form Recognizer Studio, in which you deploy the solution, and you will be able to start interacting in a similar way to the way I am doing right now with your forms. And you can, when I say training, you're literally just training, clicking on an image and saying, actually, you forgot this square here, and that is grass. Or saying here, you did not mention anything about a plant. There is a plant here. So whenever there's a plant now, it will try to detect it, and it just gets better as you identify objects over and over. And are there any questions so far?
Don't think there's anything in the Q&A for now, Alberta.
Okay, perfect. Let me start sharing here again. So I remove the presentation there.
Great. So I hope everybody on the call got a bit of use out of some of the demos. So that does conclude the end of today's webinar. This was the first one in what we're hoping to be a series of some AI themed webinars. We have another one next week on Copilot. And before we just move on to the last piece, I would love to understand now, if people would be willing to put something in the chat box about what you would like to know about AI, because we're hoping to, in coming webinars, that we will create the topic based on what people want to know or what people want to understand about it, because it is such a broad and such a diverse topic. So if there is something specifically about AI that you would like to learn or understand or know a bit more about, or any of the specific topics, please pop it in, and we are looking at content for the next couple webinars. So next steps from today's webinar, I would just like to say, for those of you in attendance today who are keen and excited to get started on AI projects within your organization, or have an idea brewing that you aren't sure how or where to begin, I've placed a QR code on the screen in front of you. With this, you're going to be able to express interest in having a follow-on call with myself and Alberto or someone from his team, where we can discuss individually what your next steps are of getting an AI project up and running and implemented within your organization, and how we can help with this sort of project. And for anyone who enters, or anyone who reaches out to me by close of business tomorrow, will be placed in a draw to win a One for All voucher to the value of around €200. So please feel free to register your interest for a call, because we're happy to assist as many people as possible in understanding AI within their organizations. If the QR code doesn't work, please feel free to just drop me an email also. My email address is atimmons@codec.ie. So we would like to thank you all for attending today's session, and we hope you learned something new about AI technologies and have found the demos that Alberto displayed helpful, and you can see where they would be relevant and useful within your organization. So thank you all again for attending, and please don't be afraid to reach out if you have any queries to myself or Alberto. Thank you all very much.